My sister texted, "You're not invited to the wedding. Goodbye, loser." My mom reacted with a heart emoji. I just replied, "Perfect. Then I'll remove my payments from the account." They kept joking in the group chat, but by morning, everything had changed. I'm Morgan, and I need to tell you about the day my sister decided I wasn't good enough to be part of her wedding after I'd practically bankrolled the entire thing. What happened next set off a chain reaction that nobody saw coming. Not Bella, not my parents, not even me. It was a random Thursday afternoon, and I was wandering through Home Goods after a long shift at the hospital. I work as a nurse practitioner, which means steady paychecks but exhausting 12-hour days. I had a cart with some throw pillows and a vanilla candle, just decompressing before heading home to my quiet apartment. Bella's wedding was 3 weeks away, and honestly, I hadn't thought much about it that day. We'd been planning for 8 months. Everything was locked in. The rehearsal dinner was next Friday. I figured I'd grab something to eat and crash early. Then my phone vibrated. The group chat we'd made for wedding planning, Team Bride Squad, had a new message. I expected something about the seating chart or maybe a question about the bridesmaid gift bags. Instead, I saw 5 words that made my stomach drop. "You're not invited. Goodbye, loser." Just like that. No explanation, no warning. Bella sent it like she was ordering a latte. And right underneath, Mom added a single heart emoji. Not a shocked face, not a wait, what? Just a heart, like she was co-signing my sister's cruelty. I stood there between a display of decorative trays and some seasonal napkins, reading it over and over. My hands started shaking. I waited for someone to walk it back, to say Bella's phone had been stolen or that it was some twisted joke. But the chat went dead silent. I left my cart in the middle of an aisle and walked straight out to my car. I sat in the parking lot for 20 minutes, watching people load their trunks with lamps and picture frames, living their normal lives while mine was apparently imploding. I didn't cry. I just felt numb, like I'd been punched in the chest and couldn't quite catch my breath. That night, I didn't respond to the group chat. I just watched. Around 8 o'clock, they started chatting again like nothing had happened. Bella posted some Instagram reel of a bride doing a choreographed dance. Mom commented, "Haha, love this." Dad chimed in with, "Finally, some peace and quiet." That's when it clicked. This wasn't a mistake or some emotional outburst. They genuinely meant it. They wanted me gone. Here's what they seemed to forget. I was paying for almost everything. The venue at Riverside Gardens? My credit card, $400 to $200 for the deposit alone. That princess-style gown Bella obsessed over for 3 weeks straight at Magnolia Bridal? I put down $1,800 to hold it. The florist, the tasting menu at Giovanni's Italian Kitchen, the calligraphy invitations with the fancy wax seals, even the cake samples from Sweet Surrender Bakery, all me. Bella kept saying she'd pay me back after the wedding gifts came in. My parents promised they'd chip in when things settled down financially, which apparently meant never. I'd been keeping track of every cent. I'm not someone who throws money around carelessly, but Bella's my only sister. When she got engaged to Derek last year, she seemed genuinely happy, and I wanted to help make her day special. I picked up extra shifts, skipped a vacation I'd been planning, and funneled everything into making sure her wedding would be perfect. And this was my thanks, getting kicked out of the family chat like yesterday's trash. So I finally typed a response. Perfect. Then I'll remove my payments from the account. Nobody took me seriously. Bella posted a meme of someone throwing cash in the air. Mom replied, "Don't be dramatic, sweetheart." Dad added a thumbs-up emoji like we were discussing paint swatches. They thought I was bluffing, that I'd sulk for a day and then fall back in line like I always did. But I wasn't bluffing. Not this time. I sat on my couch with a glass of wine and my laptop, pulling up every email confirmation, every contract, every receipt. My name was on everything. They'd let me handle all the logistics because I was so organized and so good with details. What they meant was, convenient. A doormat with a decent credit limit. I made a list, checked it twice, and started making calls. Friday morning, I woke up with a sense of clarity I hadn't felt in months. I called Riverside Gardens first. The woman who answered was sweet, apologetic even, but the policy was clear. The person whose name was on the contract could cancel within 72 hours of the final payment for a partial refund. That person was me. 20 minutes later, the venue was released. My phone stayed silent. Next was the florist, a small shop called Petal and Stem run by this lovely older woman named Linda. She remembered me from our consultation. When I explained I needed to cancel, she hesitated. Bella had already come in for a second walkthrough, but once Linda pulled up the paperwork and saw my signature, my credit card, my deposit, she processed the cancellation. "I'm sorry things didn't work out, dear," she said gently. I thanked her and moved on. The caterer took some convincing. Giovanni's had already prepped the tasting schedule and ordered some specialty ingredients, but when I pointed out that my name was on the contract and I hadn't authorized any final guest count, they agreed to drop the order. The bakery was easier. Sweet Surrender had a strict 72-hour cancellation window, and we were well within it. The cake was gone. The dress boutique was the hardest call. Bella had already been in for 2 fittings, and they'd started alterations. But when I reminded the manager, Claudia, that I'd paid the deposit and hadn't signed off on any alterations being finalized, she put a hold on everything. "We'll need the balance paid in full before releasing the gown," she said professionally. I knew Bella didn't have that kind of cash lying around. By 11 o'clock Friday morning, the wedding was effectively gone. Vanished. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop closed, feeling strangely calm. No venue, no flowers, no food, no cake, no dress. Just a date on a calendar and a lot of very surprised people about to realize what had just happened. At 12:22 p.m., my phone lit up. "Bella, what did you do?" I didn't answer. Then the flood started. "Mom, you're ruining everything." "Bella, you're actually insane. Get help." "Dad, this is exactly why we didn't want you involved in the first place." 18 messages in 10 minutes. I watched them pile up, one after another, each more frantic than the last. Around 3:30, Bella went quiet for a moment. Then she sent, "You have 1 hour to fix this or I'll tell everyone what you did to Garrett." I actually laughed out loud. Not because it was funny, but because it showed exactly how desperate she'd become. She was throwing out random threats now, hoping something would land. For context, Garrett was Bella's ex from college. Years ago, she tried to set us up, and when I politely declined because we had zero chemistry, she twisted it into this narrative that I'd sabotaged her relationship with him. It was complete fiction, but she'd trot it out whenever she needed ammunition. The fact that she was reaching for that now told me everything I needed to know. I took a screenshot of her threat, blocked her number, and poured myself another glass of wine. They'd thought they could cut me out and keep everything I'd given them. My parents thought I'd back down if they ignored me long enough, that I'd feel guilty and cave. They didn't realize I'd finally hit my limit. They wanted a wedding without me? Fine. Let them try to have one without my money. The first few days after the cancellations were surprisingly quiet. I expected fireworks, screaming phone calls, someone showing up at my door, but instead it was like they went into shock. Bella unfollowed me on everything: Instagram, Facebook, even Venmo. Mom sent me a long text about how disappointed she was, how I'd handled things poorly, how she hoped I'd come to my senses before it was too late. Dad sent me a link to some YouTube video about the power of forgiveness. I deleted it without watching. They stopped just short of begging, though. I think they were still convinced I'd crack, that I'd wake up at 3 a.m. in a cold sweat and send a tearful apology text promising to pay for everything again. But I didn't. I slept better than I had in months. A week later, Bella posted a photo on Instagram. She was wearing a different wedding dress, clearly off the rack from somewhere like David's bridal. She looked furious. The caption said, "New dress who dis nail polish, the other one had bad vibes anyway lol." The comments on Bella's post were all supportive, her friends gushing about how beautiful she looked, how this dress was so much more her style. But I noticed the likes were way lower than usual. Around 10 that night, my phone rang. It was my Aunt Diane, my mom's older sister. She didn't bother with small talk. "Bella's telling people you had some kind of breakdown," she said. "Says you tried to sabotage the wedding because you're jealous she's getting married and you're still single." I could hear the discomfort in Diane's voice. She didn't believe it, but she also didn't want to get involved. Then she asked the question I knew was coming: "Did you really cancel everything?" I told her yes, and that I wasn't sorry. There was a long pause. Then she said, "Well, damn. Good for you, Morgan." Word spread fast after that. 2 days later, my cousin Ashley texted asking if it was true that Bella and Derek were scrambling to throw together a backyard wedding since they couldn't find a venue on short notice. Apparently, Derek's parents were freaking out. The florist had refused to work with them without my authorization. The caterer had blacklisted Bella's name after she tried using one of my old invoices as proof of an existing account. Then came the texts from random numbers. Derek's mom. One of Bella's bridesmaids. A distant cousin I hadn't spoken to since high school. All trying different approaches: guilt, flattery, fake concern. Hey, heard there was a mix-up with the planning. Just wanted to check on you. Bella said you were stepping back from the wedding. Want me to help smooth things over. So sorry about all the drama. You know how weddings get, right? I ignored every single one. 3 days before what was supposed to be the wedding, Mom showed up at my apartment. I didn't answer the door. I watched through the peephole as she stood there for almost 15 minutes, ringing the bell twice. Finally, she left. 10 minutes later, she texted, "Please just talk to us. This can still be fixed." I stared at that message for a long time, thinking about all the years of being treated like a human ATM. 2 days before the wedding, a Venmo request popped up. Bella. $7,800. No message, no explanation, just the number sitting there like I was a sponsor who'd forgotten to send a check. I declined it. 10 minutes later, another request came through, same amount, still blank. I declined again and blocked her on Venmo completely. That afternoon, I got a text from an unknown number. I didn't open it right away. I made dinner, watered my plants, poured a glass of wine. When I finally read it, I wasn't surprised. It was Bella. "I know you're mad, but you've made your point. We're locked into things now. You canceling everything just ruins my day. Please don't destroy my future just to get revenge." That last line, "Don't destroy my future," like I was the one holding the wrecking ball. As if they hadn't humiliated me, kicked me out, laughed at my expense. I blocked that number too. That evening, Riverside Gardens called. The manager, Patricia, was calm but direct. Someone had called pretending to be me, trying to reverse the cancellation. When she asked for ID verification via email, they hung up. She wanted to let me know she'd flagged the account. I thanked her. Everything had been in my name, every signature, every email, every payment. Now they were scrambling, trying to undo the damage quietly, but there was nothing they could do. The next morning, I woke up to a long email from Dad. Subject line, "Let's fix this." He opened with a soft apology designed to manipulate. He said Bella's words were impulsive, that tensions were high, that she didn't mean to hurt me. Then he said he understood my frustration, but I needed to see the bigger picture. He ended with a vague promise to pay me back after the dust settles. I laughed. There was no dust, just wreckage. Later that day, Bella posted on Instagram, a black and white photo of herself, no makeup, holding a coffee mug, eyes all sad. Caption: "The worst kind of betrayal always comes from the ones closest to you, broken heart." She didn't tag me. She didn't have to. Messages poured in from people I hadn't heard from in years, all fishing for information. Meanwhile, my cousin Ashley kept feeding me updates. The backyard wedding plan crashed when a neighbor called the city about permit violations. The fire marshal shut it down. The dress shop refused to release the gown until the balance was paid in full, and nobody had that kind of cash. Derek was apparently ready to call the whole thing off, telling his groomsmen, "If this is what marrying into her family looks like, maybe I need to rethink things." Then came the message that changed everything. It popped up in the old group chat, Team Bride Squad, which I'd never actually left. I don't think they realized I could still see everything. "Mom, we can't do this without her. It's not possible." Bella, "So what? We just beg her." Dad, "We offer to pay her back. She'll come around. She always does." That line stuck with me. She always does. Like I was a vending machine they just had to kick hard enough. I didn't respond. I just watched them fall apart in real time. 2 days away from a wedding with no venue, no dress, no food, no plan. They'd burned the bridge and now waited for me to rebuild it. The morning of what would have been the rehearsal dinner, everything went silent. No calls, no messages. At 6:42 p.m., there was a knock. I looked through the peephole. Bella. She looked destroyed, red eyes, messy hair, holding a plastic grocery bag. I didn't open the door until I heard her crying. Real, ugly crying. When I finally opened up halfway, she handed me the bag. Inside were receipts, contracts, checks, my handwriting on all of them. She said Derek had left, the wedding planner had quit, and she couldn't go home because everyone was blaming her. Then she said something that actually shocked me. Mom told me you offered to cover everything because you were lonely and wanted to feel needed. For once, she actually looked like she believed what she was saying. We sat in silence. She asked if I was happy now. I said, no. I just wanted to stop being treated like a credit card with legs. Then my phone buzzed, an email from Patricia at Riverside Gardens. Mom had called again, pretending to be my assistant, trying to charge the booking to my account. The manager caught it and flagged it as fraud. Bella saw the email over my shoulder. She went pale. She really did that. Then she left. That night at 2:07 a.m., Mom texted, "You'll regret what you started." I felt nothing but calm. The next day, Bella called. Derek was gone. Guests had cancelled. The cake had melted. The dress was being held hostage. She said they'd get married at the courthouse if Derek even showed up. Then she asked if she could borrow $2,600. I didn't reply with words. Instead, I drafted a formal loan agreement, full amount owed, monthly payment plan, reasonable interest, late fees included. We met at a Denny's off the highway. She looked exhausted, signed every page without argument, and left without saying goodbye. The courthouse wedding happened the next day. No posts, no celebration, just one blurry photo Derek's brother took. 2 weeks later, I got an invite to a celebration dinner at Mom and Dad's house. I RSVP'd no but sent a gift, a framed copy of the original Riverside Gardens deposit receipt with a signed loan agreement taped to the back. By 9 that night, my phone was blowing up. Cousins, aunts, even Derek's brother followed me on Instagram. Everyone finally knew the truth about who'd paid for everything. Bella makes her payments quietly every month now. No apology, just acknowledgement. My parents never called again, but the family dynamic shifted. Quiet respect. Small gestures. That silver-wrapped box became family legend, whispered about at every holiday gathering. They call what I did cold. Maybe it was. But I never yelled, never begged. I just sent a reminder. Bella will finish paying me back in 16 months. The money will end eventually, but the memory won't.